The day was already heavy before it even began. A low gray sky hung over the gated community as the funeral procession slowly approached the entrance. Headlights were on. Hazard lights blinked in quiet unison. At the front, a black hearse moved at a respectful crawl, followed by family vehicles carrying people who had already cried themselves empty. Inside one of those cars, I sat silently, hands folded, staring straight ahead. This funeral wasn't for a stranger. It was for a man who had served the state for decades. A veteran, a father, a mentor, someone who had earned dignity in death, if nothing else. As the gate came into view, I expected it to open automatically. The funeral home had coordinated everything in advance. The HOA had been notified. Law enforcement courtesy details were in place. Instead, the line of cars slowed, then stopped. At the gate stood a uniformed woman, an HOA contracted security officer. She stepped forward, raised her hand, and motioned for the hearse to halt. At first, I assumed it was a misunderstanding. Maybe she needed confirmation. Maybe she hadn't gotten the memo. But then she walked directly in front of the hearse and crossed her arms. The driver rolled down his window and politely explained, "Ma'am, this is a funeral procession." She shook her head. "No entry without proper authorization. HOA policy." A murmur rippled through the cars behind us. Grieving family members leaned forward, confused. Some stepped out of their vehicles, disbelief written across their faces. One of the deceased sons approached her, voice trembling but respectful. "Please," he said. "We're already late. My father is in that hearse." She didn't soften. Not even a little. "I don't care who's in the vehicle," she replied flatly. "Rules are rules." That was the moment the silence changed. Grief turned into shock. Shock turned into anger. I opened my car door and stepped out. I wasn't in uniform.
No lights. No entourage.
Just a man in a dark suit among mourners. I walked toward the gate slowly, not with authority, but with restraint. "Officer," I said calmly, "this procession has clearance. Blocking it is inappropriate." She looked me up and down with open annoyance. "Sir, this doesn't concern you."
Step back.
I took a breath. I could feel every eye watching now, the family, the drivers, the funeral director. This wasn't about power.
It was about respect.
"You're holding up a funeral," I said quietly. "Please open the gate."
She scoffed.
"Unless you're someone important, you don't get to tell me how to do my job." There it was. I reached into my jacket, not quickly, not dramatically, and removed my credentials. I didn't wave them. I simply opened them and held them at chest height. State Highway Patrol, Chief. Her eyes dropped to the badge. Then they widened. Then the color drained from her face. For a long moment, she said nothing. The crossed arms fell to her sides. The confidence she had been wearing like armor vanished completely. I didn't know," she stammered. "I didn't expect you to," I replied. "But I did expect basic human decency." Behind us, the hearse idled. A widow sat inside one of the cars, watching this exchange through tear-filled eyes. I leaned in just enough to lower my voice. "You don't block a funeral. Ever. Not for policy. Not for ego. Not for control." Her hands trembled as she reached for the gate controls. The gates opened immediately.
No argument. No delay.
I turned back toward the procession and raised my hand. The hearse moved forward, followed by the family vehicles one by one, passing through the gate that should have never been closed. As the last car entered, I looked back once. She stood frozen at her post, staring at the ground, the weight of what she had done finally settling in. I didn't write her up. I didn't yell. I didn't humiliate her further. Some lessons don't require punishment, just realization. I returned to my car and joined the procession as it continued inside, quiet restored, dignity reclaimed. That day wasn't about who I was. It was about who he was, the man we were there to honor. And, at least in the end, he was given the respect he deserved.